Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar today with Farm Focus and Mobble, having a particular look at our new integration to give us lovely, tidy livestock reconciliations. Just to be sure, is somebody able to just perhaps raise their hand just to let us know that you can see that Farm Focus and Mobble presentation and hear us okay? Somebody wouldn't mind. Oh, beautiful, thank you, that's great. It's always just nice to check before we get too far in that you can hear us okay. We'll just do some quick introductions to kick us off. So for those that don't know me, my name is Annie Cates and my role at Farm Focus here is education lead. So I spend lots of time talking to farmers, accountants, rural professionals, talking about all things Farm Focus, how we can get the most out of the software, and also really passionate about just general financial literacy, general skills in the farm office, because a lot of us, we don't necessarily go farming because we want to be stuck in the office. So anything we can do to make it efficient and easier and better, we're all about that. As well as my role at Farm Focus, my husband and I are sheep and beef farming here in the Wairarapa in New Zealand. And we've also got a dairy farming equity partnership that we're part of. So yeah, probably farmer first and foremost, but been part of the team here at Farm Focus for 10 years and really, really passionate about what we do. I'll pass over to Jock.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Jock Lawrence. I'm the founder and CEO of Mobble, or Chief Mobbler if you're a Mobble, you might know me as that. So yeah, founded the company about nearly 8 years ago now from the family farm in North Central Victoria. We're sheep and beef farming there. And since then, it's turned from a simple farm and livestock record keeping app to a full farm and livestock management software solution and platform. So yeah, I think there's a lot of shared values between Mobble and Farm Focus. Just hearing from what Annie was saying, we're very farmer-led, very farmer-focused, and that's been a very organic relationship between these two companies as we've get to know each other and learn about each other. So it's been a great journey, and I think the collaboration comes from a genuine belief to make farmers' lives easier and save farmers time. So yeah, it comes from a genuine place. So it's been a really nice organic relationship. So yeah, thanks, Annie.
Yeah, we're very lucky. Thank you, Jock. So the kind of structure of our webinar today, Jock's going to give us a bit of a demo in Mobble, particularly focused around the livestock management side of it. And then I'll jump into Farm Focus and again give a quick overview of Farm Focus, bearing in mind there might be people on the webinar today that aren't familiar with either Mobble or Farm Focus. So we'll do a demo of each, particularly having to think about the livestock part of it. And then the really exciting bit that we'll get to is showing you the integration that we have between Mobble and Farm Focus. So I'll pass over to Jock and he will share his screen and jump into Mobble. If anyone's got any questions as we go through, feel free to drop them in the chat. The goal is we've got around 10 minutes at the end to answer questions, but as they come to you, feel free to drop them in the chat and we will get to them at the end. Over to you, Jock.
Thank you, Annie. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, we've got you there. Thank you.
Awesome. So yeah, Mobble is a farm and livestock management software. This is our landing page here, and I'm going to give you a really quick demo of our family farm in North Central Victoria. So we're based over here, and we have clients all around Australia, New Zealand, and the world. So about 4,000 Mobblers on the platform at the moment. And when you access Mobble, there's a few things that we're achieving with the platform. So it's everything from your full farm mapping. Before I get into that, actually, there's two apps. There's the web application on your computer, which I'll show you now. There's also the mobile application on your phone, which works fully offline out in the paddock. So you can do all your mob movements, all your treatments out there in the field. And it syncs back up when you're online. And there's a lot of bad service through Australia and New Zealand, so it works really well on that. And the core thesis with Mobble is like we want to keep it as simple and easy to use as possible, so people actually update those records and keep it up to date, and it becomes more valuable that way. So that's core of what we're about, keeping it simple, easy to use, and stuff like that. So a few core things. So if talking about the livestock management side and the farm management side, you will map in your whole farm, and you'll map in things like map assets, you may map in roads and waterways and environmental plans as well if you like, and then you're adding in your livestock. Now, your livestock are added in as mobs, and you can see here that we have some merino ewes. We've classed them as a top line first and singles, so they've got they're scanned as singles. So we'll have one lamb, and yeah, we put those details into Mobble. We're managing things like all your mob, like grazing management and mob movements and compliance records. So you can easily move mobs around by dragging and dropping them across the field like that. Every mob and every paddock has a full history of everything that's ever happened to them. So all mob treatments like drenches and feed applications, all that sort of stuff can get recorded on a mob or a paddock, and that'll go back. That history will go back forever. So I can quickly see in this mob here, merino ewes in Todd's paddock, I can see a drench action here that was applied to a lot of different mobs. And yeah, what products were applied in that time. Things like withholding periods will then get attached to the mob, and they'll show up in red on the mob as well. So withhold is very visible. And same on paddocks as well. If we're doing a paddock treatment like a spray, that paddock's some withhold, it'll show up in red and it'll warn us to not move livestock into that paddock, for example. On the grazing management side, we're understanding things like if I select a paddock here, we can understand things like days grazed and days rested on paddocks, and also sort of paddock performance over time. So I can go into the paddock info and get a history of historic livestock that's been in this paddock over time, over all the years that we've been using Mobble here, and we can get that or even down to an SU per hectare basis and rolling 12-month averages for paddock performance or field performance as well. So Mobble has a full so I will note, taking a step back for a second, Mobble is great to get your whole team involved. So on our family farm, we have my dad, we have my mum, myself, my two brothers, a worker that all have access to the platform, and it just helps break down that communication piece and everyone to be on the same page, understand where the livestock are, understand where paddocks were treated, mobs were treated, and task at hand as well. So it's that full communication piece, and you can also add people into Mobble like contractors or your farm advisor as well, and they get a different view of Mobble, but then they can sort of go off and do their tasks. So people like a fertilizer spreader can get access and understand that they need to do these 5 paddocks down here, or your farm advisor might have access to help, understand like how should we be treating paddocks for the next season. We'll sort of lead into livestock reconciliation a little bit. So Mobble is recording, as you add a mob in, we're recording things like natural increases and purchases. And also on the other side of that, we're recording things like casualties or deaths and sales as well. And what that produces is reporting. So we've got summaries here. Everything you're recording Mobble has reporting, and you've got reporting on all these sort of livestock things like sales, natural increases, purchases, and deaths or casualties. And yeah, so we're recording all this stuff. This is like you're recording out in the field, and the missing piece here is connecting that information to a product like Farm Focus. So that's something we're trying to solve with the integration that Annie's going to talk to in a second. There's way more in the Mobble app to sort of go over, and we don't have time to go through it all today. But I would suggest if you're interested, going to a website. There's a lot of great resources here on our sort of main value propositions of the apps across compliance and inventory management, how we report in farm and livestock, even cropping, and team communication as well, for a variety of different producers. So feel free to have a look at the website. There's heaps of information there. The best way to try out Mobble is to try it for free. So it's a 21-day free trial, and we will be in touch with you to help you get started and get into it from there. So that's probably the best way to go. Or just give us a buzz. Send us an email if you've got any questions on it. So yeah, really quick overview, and I'm sure there'll be some questions at the end, but yeah, I wanted to focus this more on what Annie's got to talk about on the integration side. So I'll stop sharing my screen there.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jock. And I will now share my screen. And just to check, you can see that okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So for those of you that aren't aware, Farm Focus is farm financial management software built especially for farmers. We've been around since the 1980s when three farmers here in New Zealand recognised the needs for farmers to be able to better manage their finances, to be able to look back and understand past performance, but really importantly, the ability to forecast to the future. So we've always served Australian and New Zealand farmers, as well as the rural professionals that supported them. So much like Mobble, everyone can all be on the same page. And best of all, with Farm Focus, we're one platform, so one login. You don't need to sync with any other systems or learn multiple systems to manage your finances. But in saying that, we are built for integrations like the integration that we now have with Mobble. So a really quick run through of the kind of key areas of Farm Focus. I'm going to kind of start at the results, what you get out the other end. So we have an absolute treasure trove of reports that come out of Farm Focus. So by coding our actuals well and by creating a really robust budget, the information that we can surface in the reports is really second to none. And what this information does is it allows us to analyze past performance so we can identify maybe where things are creeping up, where we might be hitting some hurdles, what levers do we need to pull, but also where we have opportunities to make a little bit more money, to identify those variances, where we're tracking really well and where we perhaps need to rein things in. So lots of amazing reports that we can use to really drill into our performance, past performance, as well as looking forward. We can set those goals and track our progress. So how do we get all this fabulous information in the reports? If we start off thinking about our actuals, so our transactions roll in from the bank, but more importantly, we can forward our invoices into Farm Focus. So our invoices that we receive, we can check them, send them through. We have the original invoice attached and it's all laid out ready for coding. We've got lots of great coding tools that allow us to really quickly and efficiently code the invoices, adding the farm-specific code and whatever the invoice was for, we can add those additional notes. With livestock invoices specifically, when we sell stock or buy stock, we of course have an invoice or a kill sheet, and we can send them into Farm Focus. All the key information's picked up. So Farm Focus for sales and purchases of livestock insists that you put a quantity in, as well for our sheep and beef farmers as an average weight. So when we are coding those invoices, this quantity automatically feeds through to our really simple but powerful livestock reconciliation. So essentially, sales and purchases take care of themselves. What we do need to do is manually add in those non-financial events unless we have the Mobble integration. So with the coded sales and purchases of stock, they flow through into our stock activity tab. And you can see we manually add in those non-financial events, so essentially the births and deaths. So adding them in manually is no trouble at all, but when we show you the integration, you'll see how great that's going to be to not have to do this step. So that's a brief run through of the kind of managing the actuals. We're coding our invoices, matching them off to transactions as they come through, and then that sets us all up ready to have all our GST information ready for our GST filing. Where Farm Focus gets really exciting is the budgeting side of things. So you'll see this is our working plan, our main budget. Our actuals feed through automatically to revise our budget. So our actuals every month roll in to automatically update that plan. And then we have planned data beyond that. You'll see we have the cash flow, which is all about dollars. And again, we have that farm-specific coding all set up. So that code structure is there, but it can be adapted to meet the needs of the specific farming business. So we have the cash flow tab, which is fully integrated with the livestock tab. Now, as I mentioned, the sales and purchases for livestock actuals feed through from our coding of our invoices. So if I take a look at these mixed age ewes, these sales and purchases automatically flow through from coding. But these non-financial events, they don't have an invoice to code. So it is a case of manually adding them in. For our dairy farmers, they also have an additional tab called the Dairy Forecaster, which is all about managing milk production. And as I mentioned, they are all connected. So that is a really quick run through of Farm Focus. Hopefully it's just given you a bit of a taste of the look and the feel of Farm Focus. And much like Mobble, it really is designed for farmers to use. It works really well and serves our accountants and consultants really well. But first and foremost, it should be intuitive and easy to use for our farmers to navigate this without too much of a headache. And just to kind of finish off on the Farm Focus bit before we move into having a look at the integration, we talked a little bit about the values of Mobble and Farm Focus, and what we both do exceptionally well, I believe, is the customer support. So all of this can seem a little bit daunting if we're new to Farm Focus or new to Mobble when you first sign up, but just, I suppose, be reassured that it's all backed up by Gold Star support. So unless there's any questions at this stage, I will move on to demo this new integration that we have. Jock, can you see in the chat, have we got any questions so far?
At the moment, we have no questions. I think we can move on to the integration.
Perfect, awesome.
Yeah, come back to questions at the end.
Beautiful, thank you. So how does this integration look? As I've mentioned, this is all about transferring the births and deaths essentially from Mobble into Farm Focus. So it takes away that need for manually entering those non-financial events. So the farmer can be out in the paddock, they've updated Mobble, they've observed some deaths, or they've got their tally at docking or tailing, so they know what births they want to enter. You can load that into Mobble and they can opt to push that information through to Farm Focus. So we end up with totally up-to-date livestock reconciliation with really no need at all for manual entry. So we'll go through how this works. To get started with the Mobble demo, we set them up as a connector. So as I mentioned, Farm Focus is built for integration with other parties. So we come to the settings and connectors. On that list there, we have Mobble. We then click to connect to Mobble and you're taken through to the Mobble login. So the farmer then needs to pop in their details and sign in. What the farmer sees now is a list of all the farm businesses that they have in Mobble. So Farm Focus looks after a single GST number, so one business, but that business could have multiple properties. So if the farm business, if each individual farm has a separate GST number, a separate business, we would just select the one farm that relates to this database, and we click save. We then go into finish setting up the property, and we just need to pop in a start date. So that's when we want these births and deaths to be transferring through from. So if we haven't done anything since the start of the financial year entering births and deaths, we might want to start there. Or if it's all up to date, you could make it today's date. We've also got the option to add a management tag. So in Farm Focus, if we have multiple farms under one GST number, we could have each Mobble farm going to a separate management tag in Farm Focus. So once we've got that set up, we can click save. Now let's just say at a later date, we actually want to add those other properties in. We can choose to add them, select the farms that should be included, hit save, and again, we just need to finish setting them up, just adding essentially that start date. So once those farms are set up as a connector in Farm Focus, when we come through to the actuals area, you'll notice in this top right-hand corner, we get an alert to let us know that we have pending stock activity items. We can click that alert. And what we see here are the events that have been created in Mobble and pushed through to Farm Focus. So in Mobble, you saw when Jock demoed there, we can call them what we like. We can set up different mobs. We can have the year they're born attached. We can have additional notes. We could have the breed, perhaps. So they can be called whatever they need to be called in Mobble. And we simply need to map that to one of the Farm Focus codes. So the Farm Focus codes can be customized, but let's just say we're using the standard codes that we already have in there. We just select the code that's been born, and in this case, the parent, so that we can get the breeding percentage. Once they've been mapped to the Farm Focus code and we click away, they move through to that stock activity. So they essentially become a completed stock activity, and they move through to the other tab. If we had multiple stock events that all go to the same code, we can select multiple events that have been pushed through and use this button at the top here to bulk code those events. So apply the same code to multiple lines. And again, they go through to that stock activity tab. So if you are not sure where they need to be mapped to, so say I'm sitting in the farm office, somebody's created these out in the paddock, I can leave them sitting there as pending if I just need to clarify a few details or double check, or I'm just not quite ready to accept them or map them. They can stay there as pending items. When we move through to the stock activity tab, you'll see all the events, whether they are sales or purchases that have come through from the coding of an invoice in Farm Focus or a transaction. And those non-financial events that have come through from Mobble are indicated here by that little M icon. So that's how we know that they have come through from Mobble. So essentially, this integration really is quite simple. It's about getting those births and deaths from the paddock entries or when they've been entered in Mobble by the person that's probably on the ground, on farm, that knows the births and death numbers, pop them into Mobble, push them through to Farm Focus, and then we can accept them in here. And that all goes through to update that livestock reconciliation in Farm Focus. So this becomes a true picture of all quantities, our stock on hand, and then we know what we've got to work with when we create the budget for the rest of the year. So that's a really quick run through of the integration to show you there. We'll move back and I'll just pop in here back to our presentation. And we've got time for Q&A, so I'll open up that chat. Has anybody got any questions or would like to see anything in any more detail?
What's the best way to start a Farm Focus trial or try the software out, Annie?
Very, very similar to your Mobble website, Jock. If you just type into your search bar Farm Focus, you'll come to our Farm Focus website, and the good old top right-hand corner, there's a spot there to request a walkthrough or a demo. And from there, we can get in touch with you and give you a demonstration of the software. Your accountant's often a great place to go to as well, or your consultant. If you want a bit of support, you can feel free to get in touch through them. But jumping on our website, having a look at the walkthrough and getting a one-on-one demo is the best place to start. I can see we've got a question that's come through the chat here, Jock. So with Mobble's question for you, does it integrate with Gallagher Animal Performance software?
Yeah, great question. We're doing a lot of discovery in this world at the moment. So it doesn't integrate directly. We're a mob-based system, but a lot of the details that you want to grab from your Gallagher animal performance software, such as like average weights, max and min weights, they're all things that are coming into Mobble in a month or two. So once we build that out, your average weights and daily weight gains on a mob, we can look into more involved integrations with companies like Gallagher. It doesn't integrate directly. No, we're a mob-based system. Yep.
Oh, thank you, Jock. While people are potentially just having a wee think of any other questions, I say to keep popping them in the chat as they come through. But just while we're waiting for that, just want to highlight that we do have some special offers, some promotions if you are interested. So if you're a Farm Focus customer and really keen to have a look at Mobble, you'll see that Farm Focus 20 discount code. And likewise, if you're a Mobble customer and you're keen to have a look at Farm Focus, you'll see that Mobble 50 code. So they are there, but I think before getting to that stage, the best thing to do is probably get in touch and have a bit of a demo and a play with the software. But just nice to know that those promo codes are there if you are keen to progress.
Nice.
I can see someone typing in the chat, so we'll give it a few minutes.
There's a question there. What are the key differences between Mobble and resolution? I can't talk to resolution that much, but yeah, I think Mobble it's really built to be a great like mob management system. So like when you're talking about moving mobs around the screen and understanding days grazed and days rested on paddocks and paddock performance and stuff like that, I think it's pretty good on the reporting side, but also in a way that keeps it simple and makes the the livestock management flow the way you'd expect it to. Like when you're boxing mobs together for scanning time or drafting time, it kind of flows the way you'd expect. You split them out in all their new categories and classes. So I think Mobble's strength is in that mob livestock or mob farm management piece and keeping that really easy to use for everyone on farm. And that's one of our differences compared to other competitors.
If you had a new employee start on Farm Job, what would you do to get them upskilled and feeling confident with Mobble if it was a Mobble farm they were starting on?
Yes, so a new employee that came to Mobble.
And yeah, like a new employee that came to a farm that used Mobble, sorry.
Yeah, I mean it's really intuitive. So you invite them as it's just different user levels. You can have a view only team member. You can have a user that can just do mob movements and that sort of thing, or a full admin that has full access to everything. And the best thing for them to do is just play around themselves. It's very intuitive. And we have monthly webinars on the system as well. People are more than welcome to come to, but generally people pick up themselves. It is very intuitive. Yep.
What I love as well about Mobble, just as a side note, is Mobble users are referred to as mobblers, and it's a really quite a tight little community you have of mobblers, isn't it, Jock?
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, no, they're great. Like we build the product on farmer feedback, and we have a very active sort of feedback group that we continually get feedback from and continue to make the product better. So, yeah, there's a question
We've
for
got
farm.
Oh yeah, I'll let you read that out, Jock.
Does Farm Focus work on Apple platforms?
Yeah, absolutely. So Farm Focus is totally web-based. So any device that you can access the internet on is good to go. So Apple, Mac, your tablet, anywhere you can access the internet, you can jump on to Farm Focus. Another question here, do the ASD forms, so the Animal Status Declaration forms from Mobble, come through into Farm Focus? And do purchase list feed through as well, or is this a manual entry once the mob is in Farm Focus? So therefore manual entry of brought in weight and price. So if we break that down, first question is, do the ASD forms from Mobble come through into Farm Focus? The answer to that is no. At this time, the integration is simply that quantity, so those births and deaths, it's the quantity that feeds through. But in saying that, this is stage one of development of the integration. So questions like this is exactly what we want to be looking at, because it will ideally grow from here. Likewise with the purchase lists coming through, again, that would be a manual entry once the mob's in Farm Focus. So for those sales and purchases, and I can speak to the Farm Focus side. So imagine we've we've got a kill sheet through for the lambs that have gone in the truck. We forward that into Farm Focus, pop in the quantity and average weight. You've got that invoice attached, and that's the kind of the end part in Farm Focus. I guess that's all we need to do is pop in the coded details for that buyer created tax invoice. In terms of entering a sale or a purchase in Mobble, Jock, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, so as a farm activity's happening, like you've brought in some livestock into Mobble, and they're in the yards, and you add them as a purchase. So you would literally add them in, you add them as a purchase, you add in the livestock number, the type, what they are, and everything. And it goes into our purchases summaries and our records. We have a bit of a not as not as intensive, but a brief summary, like a financial summary on purchases and sales. And you can add files to them like ASD forms and all those kinds of things too. So you can store a lot of that stuff in Mobile too if you choose to. But yes, we are not a farm like a financial management software like Farm Focus. So they're definitely the ground truth of all your sales and purchases. Not to say in the future that we can make a tighter integration to help with more easy flow of that data on through Mobile to Farm Focus, because quite often we want to in the future limit the amount of double entry between the systems. Yeah.
I suppose the problem that we aim to solve with this phase one was that because the sales and purchases have a piece of paper, they have a document that can get forwarded into Farm Focus, it prompts you to code it. So once that document arrives, say apply your coding, and that automatically updates the stock rec, updates your revised budget, and you're kind of pushed to do that because there's a bit of paper. These non-financial events are a manual entry and are often done retrospectively, so they can get missed. So as we're going through the year, the budget's updating, unless you've thought to enter the births and enter the deaths, they can, I mean, you'd notice once you were updating the plan, but you've got to kind of retrospectively think about it. So that was the problem we were trying to solve. Generally the person out in the paddock's the one that has those tallies for those non-financial events that don't have a bit of paper. And so being able to enter them into Mobile and push them through, hopefully it solves that problem.
Yeah. Nice.
Any other questions at all? We've rounded off probably in nice prompt time, which is true to our style, Jock. Just stick to the key information and power through, but we definitely have a bit more time to stick around if there are any more questions. What I might just quickly do in case anybody wants to pop anything else through, I will just share my screen again. And hopefully you can see that. I do just have both the Mobble and the Farm Focus website open there. So as Jock mentioned, the Mobble website, you'll find heaps of great information on there. Again, much like Mobble, it's very intuitive to navigate your way around, find out lots of information. I had a bit of a play around here, and there's webinars, case studies, lots of information, and of course the key contact information, and you can sign up for that free demo. And with the Farm Focus website, you can, if I just move across, there's an Australian and a New Zealand version, depending where you're logging in from, and very similar website, intuitive, easy to drive. You'll find all that key information, including latest updates. We run releases probably every 6 weeks, so you can check out what the latest releases are, what's going on. Like Mobble, there's lots of past podcasts, past webinars, and lots to check out in there. And if you are keen to learn more, you can click there and come through to one of us in the team.
Nice. That's great. And I can see a few people typing for some questions, so we might hang on the line for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Back up.
Well,
Have you got any more field days or anything in the pipeline, Jock, where people would be able to come and visit?
we've been busy in New Zealand. We've been to a fair few, maybe 3 in the last couple of months, which has been great. But yeah, I think next up for us, we've got one in the Otways, and then I'm just trying to think. We're going up to Toowoomba in AgFest, and also AgFest in Tasmania, and
Yeah, we'll
then
be there too.
a Farm Fest. Oh, they all sound the same. They get similar names, don't they?
They definitely do. So we've got a question here. Will Farm Focus replace programs like MyOb, or does it help to have both? Farm Focus would be equivalent to MyOb, but is farm business specific. So MyOb would take care of coding your transactions and doing your GST, where Farm Focus would replace it and step it up as it analyzes that farm business performance. So as well as your basic GST compliance, all your livestock transactions flow through to a stock reconciliation. It's all very much set up for a farm business. So even the code setup is very farm specific, with the livestock codes going as far as having a yield percentage built in behind the scenes. So whether you're entering a carcass weight or a live weight, Farm Focus can take everything down to carcass weight as an example.
Yeah.
So yes, so a short answer, yes, it does replace the likes of MyOb, but levels you up to be looking at true farm profitability, true farm business performance.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of our farms would use Mobble plus accounting software. So it would be like Mobble plus Farm Focus you'd probably use for your farm management and accounting stack.
Another question here, is the aging in sync for trading bulls and lambs, or do we have to manage this? So when a trade lamb turns into a hogget through to November time.
Yeah. How do you guys manage that in Farm Focus?
Yeah, so with Farm Focus, because we are a financial management platform, we go in line with the standard accounting practice, which is that everything ages up on the last day of the financial year. So those lambs, if you're a 30 June balance date, they become a hogget on the 30th of June. So any lambs that go on the truck in July, and I know on farm we're putting lambs on the truck, when we code them in Farm Focus, we are putting hoggets on the truck. With this integration, though, specifically, you can call them what you want to call them in Mobble. When that event's pushed through, you then allocate the code in Farm Focus. So your Mobble mob names, whether it's breed, year they were born, whatever you want to call them in the paddock, it can be different from your Farm Focus code structure. And that's when we demonstrated there, you can apply the Farm Focus code to those events that have pushed through. Does that answer that question? Did you have anything to add, Jock?
No. If anyone's familiar with Mobble's livestock reconciliation report, the Farm Focus one's going to be more accurate. It's got all these sales and purchases in there, and it reconciles in probably a smarter way than we do it. So it's for those that aren't familiar with Farm Focus, they're doing it in a much better way than what Mobble does at the moment. Yeah.
And Jan's asked a question here, how do we capture everyday invoices into Farm Focus? So there's a few ways we get the invoices in. The main way is through a tool, we call it Invoice Scanner. Essentially, all it is your Farm Focus database has a unique email address. And when you receive invoices from suppliers or other parties, you simply forward those invoices into Farm Focus and they magically appear there ready for coding. There's AI behind the scenes that actually reads the invoice. So it'll pick up the invoice date and the other party and all the line detail, as well as attaching that original document. So main way of getting the invoices in is emailing them in, so forwarding them to that unique email address. We also have a few connectors, particularly with the likes of Farmlands, FarmSource, Fonterra. So they automatically appear if you've set up that connector. And we can also manually create records. So there might be things like, say, house rental income or higher purchase payments that we don't want to email an invoice in for every month, or we don't maybe have an invoice, say for house rental income. We can create manual records that repeat weekly or fortnightly or monthly as needed. So main way is emailing them in. We also do have connectors and we can manually create those records as well.
Nice.
See another typing. These are great questions, everyone. Thank you so much.
I'll also note that I think both Farm Focus and Mobble have very transparent pricing. You can go to their pricing page. You can sort of work out how much it's going to cost you very simply and very easily. So it's worth checking out the pricing pages for very transparent pricing as well.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a comment in here. For what it's worth, we've been using Farm Focus for many years and it's fantastic. So we just need to now learn more about Mobile. Thank you very much for that comment. That's so appreciated. We do all, I suppose, and on the same page as Jock, work quite passionately behind the scenes. A lot of what you see on the website or what you see in the product really has been built through a lot of passion. So to hear that farmers are using it and enjoying it is really does mean the world to us, actually, because like I said at the start, not many people go farming because they like doing those office admin tasks. So that's much appreciated. And you want to learn more about Mobble, so jump on the website, but do remember that as part of this collaboration, this strong partnership we've built, we do have these great discount codes to get you started.
Nice. That's great. Thanks, Annie.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I don't see anyone furiously typing. If there are any more questions, or if you go away and have a think about it and more questions come up, definitely get in touch with either of us. We're more than happy to field questions. Jump on the website, or for Farm Focus, there's the free phone number that you'll find on the website as well. We're always keen for a chat. Love hearing from you.
Nice. Thanks, Annie.
Oh, well, we can jump off if there was no other questions, but thank you so much to everyone that's joined. It's been a pleasure to present to you. Thank you very much, Jock. And we'll keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Bye.
Cheers.